Hi, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. And we're here with a great idea to talk about today that came from Francisco, which is, do we tell our kids the truth? And that is, of course, a very big, broad statement, but more narrowly about their talents. So your kid shows you a painting, and do you say, that is the most beautiful painting? You are a fantastic artist. Or do you do like what some experts recommend, which is tell me about your painting to avoid any evaluation? Or in my case, I had 4 kids do musical theater for 20 something years, and they were good. They got leads in plays, and I sat in the audience and beamed. And then when they each one had a moment of thinking they were going to Broadway, we live in Beechwood, Ohio, and I would say to them, you are very, very Beechwood talented. I mean, there's so many Beechwoods in the world, and you are not making it on Broadway. I didn't say that, but that's what my message was. And I had a kid who played football, and he was the captain of the football team, and he was very successful on the field. And he was also very, very Beechwood talented. And they didn't like that. So tell me how generous and kind you are to your children. Are you Sue, or are you you are the best?
I'm so sorry.
Somebody has opinions.
I'm just laughing because my guys were sports kids and that was fine. But one thing I wasn't really honest about, and I can picture it, I'm laughing to myself of all the ones I threw out when we moved. When my boys did ceramics, and I will say I can barely draw a circle. So I know they got their creative talent from me. Oh my goodness, the things they bought home from, and this is in high school, and it was like, wow. Like I'm thinking, what the hell is that? Like what? So, but it wasn't important. They didn't want to strive. I don't believe. And like there was an art show, and I was like, gosh, I hope they don't put his stuff in the art show. But I don't think I ever said it. But I can picture these. I wish I had some.
I've been there, Mindy. Unless we haven't truly an artistic kid, I think we've all kind of been there.
So with that, I just went, hey, that's great. Okay, so then I was not brutally honest because it was so bad. But anyway, otherwise, I would say I'm more of you. So I was more of the honest. But.
Well, I always felt like I was kind of honest, but I wasn't. But then you would watch these reality shows like American Idol or whatever, and these people would be on there. Or no, my favorite was So You Think You Can Dance, and they would do these auditions, and they would be so horrible, and they would be so like crestfallen because everyone had told them their whole lives that they were really, really talented, and they really weren't. Yeah. So so you kind of go back and forth between. I guess my whole thing is like my husband was really good at saying, hey, you know what? You're going to be better than a lot of people, but you're not going to be as good as others. So unless you're like an Olympian, this is where you're going to be. So take that with a grain of salt. That's what kind of our philosophy at home was. But not to be like, damn, you suck.
Yeah.
Well, I think there are like 2 different things that the one is it something that is really, they just do a once in a while, right? They do a ceramics class or they do whatever, and I always say when it's really not their thing, I'm like, just embrace it. It's fun to, like, for example, I'm really bad at bowling, but I love it. And I just embrace it. Like if we go bowling, I'm like, I have no expectations. I can just have fun. And, again, it's not a big deal. But if it is something that they're actually pursuing, I feel like it's part of my job to kind of, say, where are we at here? Is this true? Let's be real to a certain degree so that that you don't end up on So You Think You Can Dance and somebody else tells you, because I should have warned you that this would,
it's like balancing the self-confidence you want to instill in your kids with the harshness of the world. Like, you're really Beechwood talented. I thought that, like, you can feel really good about yourself, but also know that there's going to be some external limits based on the number of people that are vying for these things.
I'm going to jump
But
in
also,
to give a
isn't
different.
something- Go
I'm
ahead.
going to jump in to give a different perspective, because I come from a very artistic family, just like for generations, and my parents actively fought against my creativity. It was very much in the era like, you need to earn an income. This can be a hobby, but this cannot be your career. And that was because other people in the family had made it their career and they weren't wildly successful at it. They were extremely talented. Everyone agreed they were extremely talented, but it's just a tough, I don't know, time, place, whoever, just it didn't work out for them financially.
I feel like, oh, sorry, I thought you were done. Sorry, you can finish your sentence.
So what I want to say is that I actively encourage my kids, who are both creative, to give it everything they have, to fully go for it with absolutely no regrets. And I mean, there's going to be a time limit on it. They're going to get exhausted if it doesn't work out, but like, at least they'll get to a certain age and it won't be like, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, so like.
It's such a reaction of your history. Like,
It
it
is.
literally is played. That is like, we don't walk into the world without a history. So
Yeah.
that's what you brought.
Yes.
And Melissa, I did the same thing with my boys with sports, go for it, try, and they all did end up playing their sport through college. So no one's in the NFL or the, lacrosse league, or no one made it to the Olympics, but when you saw the passion there, I think you do encourage realistically, but we never said, oh, you're going to be the top D1 athlete, you're going to be the Heisman Trophy winner in football. But we did same thing, and for us, the ceramics, it was quite obvious they were not going to make a living. Yeah. So I think it's a parent being realistic too, right? Like, you need to be realistic in your evaluation of your kids.
I was gonna say, I feel like the balance in my mind is kind of like this, encourage them, try to help them keep going and succeed, but like the be all end all shouldn't be like financial success or making it on Broadway, or like if your kid really likes doing X but they're clearly not going to be able to, like, like if they like to sing and they're not gonna go on to American Idol and sweep the entire. I mean, this is me when I was a kid, when American Idol was the big thing. I don't know what the big thing is now, but like, maybe they could become
reality TV shows.
Yeah, just any reality. The Voice, like, they can, I don't know, they could become a vocal teacher, or maybe it just won't be their career and they just still sing in a choir outside of work and just have fun with it. Like, being successful doesn't have to be the goal, I guess. Like, encourage them to follow their dreams, but not necessarily, like, if they don't become like the big thing in football, that's not an issue, that's not failure.
Yeah.
Right.
I think give it a try.
Wait, Eka has a unique story. Eka, jump in.
So so our daughter was a very talented ballet dancer, and I thought it, of course, because she's my kid, but everywhere she went, she was told that. So when everybody else was going to college, she actually danced professionally, and we encouraged it. And we also were, she'd gotten into a conservatory to dance, but then she got a contract. So we were very encouraging of her. And when she was ready to be done, it was on her terms. But we, I talked a lot of times with like her dance instructor, like, is this just me? And they're like, no, she's got this and this. So she did it, and we encouraged it. And then she danced professionally for 3 years and then said, okay, I'm done. But then she got to check the box, because my husband really wasn't for it, because he's like, she needs to go to college, she needs to do this. And I said, I don't want her to wake up at 30 and say, I should have, like exactly what you said, Melissa. And so she did it. And then when she was done, she was like, okay, I can say that I did what I wanted to do, and now it's time to go to college. And she did. So, but I I did. I asked, and then she would apply for these summer intensive programs and she'd get into them and then she'd get scholarships. So I was like, okay, it's not just me. Other people are seeing this in her. Mm-hmm. So I needed some outside validation because, I mean, like all of us, sometimes we put our blinders on with our kids. We think they're the best. We think they're amazing, which is great, but sometimes you need that outside voice. And so now she's done and she hopefully will not have any regrets because she did get to do it. So,
and I think along that line, Eka, it's important to say, give it a try. And then also talking to your kids about the consequences. Go for it. May not make it. You may not ever see the professional ballet, contract. You may never make it on a college football team, but go for it. Knowing, I think there's a difference between encouraging them and giving them, or saying, hey, you're going to get a zillion, college scholarship offers. So
yeah, I feel like making it clear that like failing to get into ballet or football or whatever is not like a bad thing.
Right. It's okay.
It's the trying.
Okay, so I want to see is there any correlation? Did you let your kids win when you played games with them when they were little? No, neither.
I'm still mad at my dad.
But I do believe we're talking already at a very high level. If you actually consider making something a career, you must have met certain standards, right? I mean, I think it starts all on a way lower level where it's like, they're like, I think I want to be a photographer, but they have taken, I don't know, only selfies so far. And, I think they often have these ideas where it's like, they haven't put in years and have kind of climbed actually to a level where maybe Melissa's, kids are, where they're like, okay, you could actually turn this into a career. But I think it's often just, well, it doesn't even need to be, right? It doesn't need to be your career. You can just have a lifelong hobby, and you can have that even if you're not that great at it, as long as it's fun.
Right? Well, that reminds me, I used to babysit back a million years ago for this little girl, and she would bring me like all this art, like she had everything, and she would show me this stuff, and she'd be like, look at this painting I made. My mother and father said it's the best painting ever, and I'm going to grow up to be an artist because I'm so good. And then she'd be like, look at this one. And like for 3 hours of babysitting, I would look at all the most amazing art that ever existed in the world. And I was like, oh, I don't know if this is a good thing. So everything she did, her parents told her was absolutely amazing. And she goes, and watch me dance. My parents said I'm the best dancer in the whole world. And I was like, oh, girl. So it was, I mean, I don't know whatever happened to her, but I was just like, this is not setting you'd be like, I would be like, oh, that's really awesome. But like she said, my parents told me I'm the best at everything. And I was like,
yeah, I think the difference maybe in my house is that it's not really an evaluative process. It's more, we talk about transferable skills, like why you're doing this, how can you apply it in another area of your life, like the dedication and the creativity and the flexibility. And I mean, one of them also deals with a lot of rejection. So it's like how, it's that, sorry, it's so busy in my home right now. I don't know what is going on, but like, so I think like what Jess was saying is not to concentrate so much on the end product, but really on the journey that you're taking to get there. The whole process and the gifts that gives you is, I think, more valuable.
But an echo story makes me think of the honesty question, right? And I think if you never say that something is not good, I think your kids actually start to not believe you. Like I was thinking about it the other day. I was waiting outside of dance and my daughter came out and she said, so how did it look? And I said, it looked like complete chaos in there. I cannot imagine how this is going to be on the stage in 2 weeks,
Well, that's encouraging, Francisca. Okay.
No, it did. And it wasn't just her, right? It was a lot. But she said, and then it was a few days later, and she said, how was that? And I said, that looked really, really good. And she said, okay, cool. That's good.
She believed you.
She believed me because I also said when it was clearly not working. And I think if I would just always say it's all great, then this is actually looking great would not wait.
Not everybody can get the star for being the winner.
Right.
Like there was an article in the New York Times about it was at the time where my oldest was in elementary school and everybody had to get a sticker or an award or something.
Trophy, yeah.
And someone wrote an article about taking their kid to one of the art shows for the students, and every single painting had an award on it, and the kids said, "But who's the winner?"
Yeah.
And the parents were like, "Well, everybody's the winner," and the kids like, "No, but somebody has to be the winner."
Right. Like when kids were little, my kids, I remember, I think it was soccer. They didn't keep score for a while. We're not keeping score. The kids kept score. And they would walk off. The first thing they say is, "We won. I think we won." So yeah, they're,
Right. If you engage in competition, there's a winner. That's it.
I remember my daughter got picked to go up to this math competition, and there were like 3 teams from her school, and they stayed after school and they did all this math stuff, and then they went to a thing with a bunch of schools, and she was all excited and everything, and she came home and I said, "How'd it go?" She said, "It was awful." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because it was ridiculous. We did all this work and we did all this stuff after school. We went there, we had to get all dressed up, we competed, and then they said everybody won." She goes, "That's ridiculous. Not everybody won.
Right.
If I wouldn't have worked that hard, if I knew everybody was going to win." And so
Right.
she was actually pretty annoyed about it. And she said it was a waste of time to go to this thing and work hard, and everybody was a winner.
And
Yeah,
from
I feel like I've heard before that a lot of the people, like, everybody's a winner, everybody gets an award. The kids are almost never the ones that want that. It's always the parents who are like, "My special little girl is a winner, and if you don't give them an award."
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here with us today. It's always fun for us to have these conversations with you, and we will see you next week.